Right, back. It's Friday, just finished for the week. I'm working out, by the way, where to put this camera, because I filmed some howlers recently where it's just like extreme double chin, but we're trying to get better with it. We're down one of the alleys. Just, you know what, I was just sitting in the office here, everyone's left, and I was sort of, what time is it? 6:15. So I was sitting there and I was just sort of reflecting on the week and last month, and obviously it's the first week of Q4, and basically I just sort of I find it quite interesting how I've done the job, I'm pushing 30 now, so I'm getting a bit, a few grey hairs coming in, hairline's going back, but that also gives you a bit of experience. Sorry, that shot was quite interesting. It gives you a bit of experience, and recruitment years are a bit like dog years. They're like working a startup. If you speak to anyone that's worked in a tech startup, 1 year is like 7. Same with recruitment, and especially after last month, which was okay. It was okay. We got by. We probably, we're quite lean, so I fully expect us to sort of smash our sales target each month. But I say last month we just above broke even. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a nightmare, and a few things have dragged over into this month. But it was the first time it had happened since I'd been here, and I just took it so badly. It reacted really, I wouldn't say unhealthily, but just my nerves were a bit frayed, and it wasn't fatal by any stretch, but it just wasn't great. And you don't want to, you're not in business to get by, you're there to sort of try and make a bit of money, right? Especially when you work in sales. So I found it quite interesting how having a bit of experience means that my reaction to it was that I sort of fell back on experience, and what I mean by that is I fell back into faith in the systems we have. Instead of panicking, instead of completely, I don't know, jumping out the window, whatever, you sort of you just, I think there's a quote somewhere, isn't it? You're as good as your systems, and you always fall back on them. And I think this week we sort of bounced back quite strongly. We've had 12, 13 first stage interviews come through, signed a bunch of clients, had some weird leads come back in as well. This is another benefit of being in an industry for a long time. A guy I spoke to earlier, I spoke to him last 3 years ago. He's just moved to Dubai from Singapore. He reached out to me, and another lady we had a briefing call with for a job in Shanghai. I spoke to her for a role about 3.5 years ago. So it's weird how it all sort of goes full circle, but there's no guarantee in business, and I think this is one of my favourite quotes actually from Morgan Housel's book. Is the guy that wrote Psychology of Money, is in the short term things are pretty bad, but in the long term they're okay. And it's so easy to get caught in that up down cycle, but sometimes you're going to close 3 deals in a week, the next deal you close none. Sometimes you'll close 1 deal a week. It just really ebbs and flows. I think being able to see that bigger picture and just having confidence in the fact that I know if we send X CVs a week and get X first interviews, that results will come. And if we're doing that, we're doing our job, and you just got to have faith in that, faith in those systems, and that means you can pull through, and you can sort of weather these times where you don't have a great month, and you know that if you go back to basics, go back to doing what you do well, that you'll end up having a good month at some other point. So I think it's a bit of consistency. I think it's a bit of being able to zoom out and see the bigger picture, not sweat the day to day, and sort of tie it into, okay, that's one bad month, there's 3 months left of the year, there's 12 months in a year, we've had other good months, so one of those can cover this month. It was okay. It's not like we built nothing, by the way. We've got no money coming in. We did all right. We're more than broke even, like I said, but just wasn't that usual measure of success we've had. So yeah, I don't know if this one made sense or it's a bit crazy, but it's been a long week, and yeah, I just think it's interesting that you start to fall back on that, and I think it's a saying that you fall back, you're only as strong as your systems are. And I found it interesting how I was quite conscious that happened this week. I wasn't panic, I wasn't okay, I'm going to make 600 calls, send 800 emails to sort of make up for the bad month. It was, no, if we keep doing what we've always done. And I think I saw another good post on LinkedIn, which was, if you're going back for a bad time, just remember you've never met a Monday that hasn't passed. And okay, that does sound like something, like a Facebook mum would have up on her wall, but it's true, right? every single bad time you've had. You've got through it. You got through the other side with work. And it's, I always say with sales, the worst time to be is in the present, because you don't know how anything's going to go. You don't know how your deals are going to end up. You don't know if that person's going to accept. You don't know if they're going to offer. But in a week's time, you do. And actually, sometimes if it's a no, it's better knowing. It's the suspense that kills you a little bit. But anyway, that's me done. I'll do a little bit of a shorter one today because it's a Friday. Super busy, by the way, around here. Like, it's Chinese holiday, it's Golden Week, so they get 2 weeks off a year, I think, for public holidays, Chinese New Year and Golden Week, and it's absolutely rammed around here at the moment. But anyway, I'm off. It's the weekend. Have a good one. I might do another one Sunday.